Text of Zhang Ailing's Young Chapter 9. The Women's Federation is meeting again. Yuxiang went next door as usual and asked Mrs. Jin Zhen to go with her. I went to wash clothes by the stream, said Aunt Tan. Yuxiang walked away, and Aunt Tan muttered, if I want to go, I won't go by myself. I have to get others to go with me. It's not like others are just sitting at home with nothing to do. The old ones in the family, the young ones in the family, all in one day. I'm busy with meetings in the evening. Who does all this at home? I'll call you now, then I'll call you. And now I'll call you, like a ghost. You're not the director of the Women's Association, so I want you to be so fawning and go around pulling people in. It's really true. Husband and wife are of the same mind. Even if you become a model worker, she changed the subject and talked about Jin Zhen, her voice getting louder and louder. Everyone compliments you so much that they fall into a coma. I don't even think about where the 9 loads of grain you collected have gone. Where have they gone? Let me ask you, you're not as hungry as we are. Don't talk about it, Mr. Tan said softly. Young people are stupid, and Tan sighed. She sat there and felt numb. I can't stand others' kind words, so I want to rip off my heart and liver for them. Even if I die, my old woman can live longer than you. Sir, I eat more salt than you eat rice. I've seen a lot of things. Now this one is coming, and now that one is coming, and the soldiers are coming, and the bandits are powerful. There are 4 tails of millet buried in the ground, and he has the ability to know it. Hey, don't think you can hide it from them. Banzuachu. God! What are you talking about? Boss Tan shouted loudly. I've gone crazy today. And Tan simply shouted, Old man, you don't have to be afraid. I won't tire you. Don't worry. Let them report, go and make meritorious deeds. Let him flatter you more, and he won't be as hungry as us. Boss Tan knew that her temper was getting drunker the more he helped her, and he couldn't stop her, so he let her go. He knew that Comrade Gu Gang was not at home today and had gone to town to buy his private pastries. This was no longer a secret, and Jin Zhen also went out to collect firewood in the mountains. They saw Jin Zhen go out, but he happened to come back without being seen by them. He has been in his room. Yuxiang also came back because she forgot to tell Jin Zhen not to let her child sneak into Comrade Gu's room. As soon as she walked into the yard, she heard Aunt Tan yelling there. For a moment, she couldn't tell whether she was quarreling with the old man or scolding her daughter-in-law. She returned to her room and saw Jin Zhen standing at the door with a strange posture, his arms hanging awkwardly, like an overgrown child. She tilted the eye slightly toward the next door. Who are you arguing with over there? He looked at her as if he didn't understand what she said. Then she heard clearly what Aunt Tan was shouting. Jin Zhen's face was sad. She quickly looked away from his face. She hated that the old woman opened his sores so cruelly and made him feel so uncomfortable. Jian Yuzheng, please don't yell like that. Okay? She shouted through the wall. It doesn't matter if we hear it. If others hear it and report it, you will blame us later and think it was us. This is unfair. It can't even be washed away in the Yellow River. Ao transparent hat Kongbu and Yao and Tan shouted. I'm not afraid. I am an old man and the candle is blown by the wind and the tiles are covered with frost. Do I still want to live 100 years? It's you who are young and gentle. Don't have a bad conscience. A bad conscience harms people, and they won't have a good life in the future. Don't say a word when you are so embarrassed. Boss Tan tried his best to stop him. Yuxiang shouted, an elder doesn't look like an elder. He's already as old as a dog. And Tan started to make a fuss. You dared to scold me? You scolded me. Are you crazy? Are you eating shit? Just let it go, Jin Zhen said to his wife. Balan Xianpo, Yuxiang shouted, why don't you die, you old woman? People from Aokin Kinlang, Jin Zhen said with disgust. Oh, if you had the ability, ask my wife to sue me. Go to the Women's Association to sue me. Go, go. Is it over? Mr. Tan gritted his teeth and said, and then he heard the sound of a scuffle and the sound of fists hitting the cotton-padded clothes. Eng Mang, you beat me, and Tan burst into tears. I am so old, and my grandson is so old, And you still beat me? Beat me to death. I don't want to live anymore. I still have will my face survive. Many things crashed to the ground, probably because the table legs were hit. Aunt Tan was rolling all over the place and crying loudly. Ayo hong pava, Jin Jen said to Yuxiang. Ba Yi sends out locusts. In the end, Jin Jen had to go alone. Okay, you old man. He pulled the old man away. At such an old age, and having been a couple for so many years, seeing people laugh, Aunt Tan sat on the ground with tears and runny nose, sobbing. A lot of scattered hair, white and awake like a cat's whiskers, draped on her cheeks. Boss Tan exhausted all his strength and was panting. He held onto the golden root for a long time and was speechless, but he did not dare to let go. He mumbled an explanation that the old lady suddenly went crazy today, but in fact it had nothing to do with Yuxiang. Jin Jen didn't want to look at his desperate and begging face. He shook him off vigorously and returned to his own home. There was no one in the room. Yuxiang went to a meeting. Naturally, from that day on, Aunt Tan and Yuxiang never greeted each other.
Alright, this part of the story ends here.
Want to know what happened next? Let's listen to the breakdown next time.